The never-ending cycle of Manchester City captains continues. We've got another one, people. Of course, we have Bernardo Silva has been named Manchester City captain for the 25-26 season. Nearly got it wrong there straight off the bat. But Bernardo Silva, we'll get into it. Of course, we will. Speaking about whether or not I think that's the right decision, what he can bring to the captaincy, whether or not the players, Pep has made a mistake, all of that lovely business. In the meantime, if you are new, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're doing plenty of content throughout the summer, including the Club World Cup as well. So keep your eyes peeled out. At the time of recording, City have their first match later this afternoon, so that should be plenty of fun. Okay. Bernardo Silva is the armband wearer. He's the skipper. He's the head honcho, El Capitano, whatever you want to call it. It's worth mentioning that he's part of, at the moment, a four-man captain's group. In there, you've got Haaland, you've got Ruben Diaz, and you've got Rodri. Now, I'll be honest, straight away, from those names, if I'm to pick, I would have gone Ruben Diaz. Then I would have gone Rodri. Probably would have gone Bernardo third and then Haaland, only because Haaland's only just been moved up to this captain's group this season. Interesting comments from Pep, actually. I don't know if anybody, well, people would have seen this, but I don't know how many people saw this because the press conference was in the middle of the night, UK time, so it got lost a little bit. But Pep Guardiola revealed that he had a bit of a say in the captain's group this year, and he actually pushed, or he actually decided, basically, that Erling Haaland would be part of it. It was, let's say, a telling comment that he made because I think, let's say, there was just a little bit of a dig towards Kyle Walker, nestled right in the middle of it. Because if we can just pull up the sort of the City extra quotes that we saw from Guardiola, or sorry, the press conference that City extra shared in the press conference. I am the manager, and for the first time in my career, I decided who will be my captains. I didn't like what happened last season, and I decided this season who will represent the team. I mean, there's a damning indictment if I've ever heard one before. But yeah, Erling Haaland into the captain's group, Bernardo Silva taking the armband. I think, like I said, it wouldn't have been my first pick, but the fact it is him, I don't have that many criticisms. I can't have that many criticisms. He's been at the club since 2017. He's been part of the treble team. He's been part of the 4-in-a-row team. He was even part of Guardiola's first couple of Premier League title wins all the way back in 2018 and 2019. So he's been there. He's done it. He's got the leadership. And yes, there was a period of time where it looked like he was maybe wanting to move to Barcelona. There was that transfer saga before the treble season, actually. So how different things could have been for City had he gone to Barcelona or had he signed for another club or whatever. But since then, it kind of feels like he's settled down a little bit. I believe he's had a baby, hasn't he? So he's obviously grown to love Manchester a little bit more. He's got 1 year left in his contract, and I think some of the criticism that has been said about Bernardo Silva being skipper is the fact it's probably going to be another one of these 1 year sort of captains, because I think in the last sort of, what would we be now? By the time next summer comes along, 4 years, we'd have had Fernandinho be captain, we'd have had Gundogan be captain, we'd have had Kyle Walker be captain, and we'd have had Kevin De Bruyne be captain. And none of them would have been captain for longer than 2 seasons. So yeah, I can understand why people sort of maybe look at Rodri or maybe look at Ruben Diaz and be like, they can be the captain for the next 5 years. That'd bring a bit of stability. But I think it's worth mentioning, for Guardiola's teams, for Pep's teams, for City now as well, the captain isn't, it isn't this sort of state-like figure like we had with Vincent Kompany for all those years, or maybe like Virgil van Dijk has been at Liverpool. It's a captain's group. That's where the leadership comes from, and whoever wears the armband on the pitch, on the day of the game, whatever, that it kind of feels a bit ceremonial more than necessarily being of major importance. So look, it's Bernardo Silva. I don't think you can necessarily say he's not qualified for it. He's don't get me wrong, getting on a little bit now, but with that comes experience. Like I said before, he's got the trophies under his belt as well. So I don't necessarily personally see many complaints. People have suggested that, does this mean he's now going to start every single game, Bernardo Silva? I can see why people would say that, because it was kind of like that for Kyle Walker a bit, wasn't it, for his time as captain? But even still, like Guardiola has already admitted that he got it wrong with the Walker decision, and that might be part of it, in terms of giving him the armband, thinking like he's got to play it. Maybe he learns from his mistakes. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Maybe this could just be pure waffle. But I do feel like Bernardo Silva being the captain doesn't mean every single game he's going to play, because we saw what that did last season and it wasn't great. Bernardo Silva spoke about it though. He did an interview. These were quotes from the Daily Mail shared via City Extra. I know what I'm going to do. This is speaking about his future, by the way, because obviously he does have that 1 year left in his contract. I know what I'm going to do, but it's not the time to speak about it. I'm very focused on my season, on performing well for Manchester City. When the time is there, I'll speak about it. I have 1 year left in my contract, so obviously I can leave next season. This season for sure will be at Manchester City, so that sort of confirmed what had been floating about for a little bit, that Bernardo Silva was maybe had offers from elsewhere, for Fenerbahce, was it, or Galatasaray, one of the sort of the Istanbul giants in Turkey. There was talk of Saudi as well. That seems to have been put away. He later said, "I'm going to stay. I've had options in the past, and this year, like last, my option is to stay." He also speaks about, for people who maybe aren't convinced about him being, the born leader, I feel like this quote's really good. He says, "We talked last season as a group about what happened, and we learned a lot of very important lessons. Hopefully we're never going to forget them, especially this season. We're not going to forget what happened, and we're trying to make things right." So yeah, he's talking a good game, which is, some might say, a start compared to the captain City had at the start of last season, Kyle Walker, who has obviously been criticised a fair bit for his off the pitch word. So look, it is what it is. Like I said, I don't think captaincy at City is maybe the same, or maybe it's certainly important, but I don't think the sole captain, the one captain, is necessarily as important at other clubs as it. At City as it is at other clubs, because it is about that leadership group. And Guardiola said in his press conference that he might look at adding maybe one or two more players to that leadership group. Phil Foden, does he step up? Josko Gvardiol. I think it's worth mentioning as well that with all the new signings that have come in, City do have quite an inexperienced squad. Off the top of my head, the players who are going to be playing a decent chunk of next season will probably be Jeremy Doku. He only arrived in 2023. Savinho, Omar Mamouche, Nico Gonzalez, Kusanov, Ryan Aït-Nouri, Tajani Reinders, Ryan Cherki. There's about 10 players straight off the top of my head that have only been at the club for maximum 2 full seasons. Some of them haven't been at the club at all. Some of them have only been here for a year. So, there is this transition that's going on, and I think sometimes you do need that sort of guy at the top who has been there, who has done it, who can impart advice, who is fine to sort of speak about the past and sort of the experience, but also inspire the next generation as well. Before we get out of it, the last point is, does anyone find it interesting that Ilkay Gundogan isn't in that captain's group? Because obviously he's a former Manchester City captain to begin with. Last season he came in late. I don't think it had already been decided, the captain's group, or maybe it had been because it carried over from the year before. So basically, it would have been weird if he came back from being at Barcelona for a year and then got given the armband straight away. I'm not saying he should have been captain, but I wonder if that points towards perhaps maybe an exit for him after the Club World Cup, because like I said, 4 spots there. Usually it's 5. Maybe he's one of the ones that Guardiola adds. I don't know, but something to watch, maybe something to keep an eye on. But yeah, Club World Cup starts today for City. Wydad Casablanca. I love that name, Wydad. I'm sure we'll have plenty of fun with that. But into the unknown a little bit, really, with this competition. So there'll be plenty of reviews, plenty of reaction throughout the sort of the week after the game, leading up to the next one. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. Like I said, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you join in the Man City Discord as well. The link to that is in the description. And until next time, it has been a pleasure. We will see you later.